I'm Justin Boyd.
And I'm Brittany Pacheco, and we are the Watchers in the Basement.
Welcome to the Watchers in the Basement. We are here today to discuss the fifth episode of the HBO series, The Penguin. The episode's titled Homecoming. And Brittany, let's get right to it. What'd you think about this episode? Your overall thoughts on the fifth episode, Homecoming?
This episode was great. I don't think I enjoyed it nearly as much as I did the previous episode because that is probably the episode that everyone or every other episode is going to have to live up to. However, lots of surprising twists and some things I think that are definitely going to be foreshadowed for the remaining I can talk remaining episodes for this season or series because this is I think supposed to be a mini series, but I don't know. It's just so well done. Cinematically, it looks great. The writing is great. The character performances are incredible. What characters we still have, that is, but overall, I really did enjoy this episode. Like I said, I was shocked with these twists and turns of events, and yeah, this was a great episode, of course. And I'm just curious to see what's going to happen, of course. So, what were your overall thoughts on this episode?
Yeah, another great episode. And it was an episode where a lot of things happened. It was an episode where we got a couple of shocking, gruesome deaths. We're going to get into those here in a little bit. We saw, one legacy end, another one began. Um, you know, Characters getting out of prison, like all kinds of stuff. We were kind of all over the map, and yeah, this was a really good show. I kind of like you. I don't know that it was as good as the fourth episode, but it's kind of hard to like get to that bar. I mean, but every episode's been really, really strong, and this is just a great show. I enjoy it tremendously, and I've said it before, but it really does make the Batman movie so much better. And it makes the Batman story, the Batman crime saga that Matt Reeves is working on, just even better going forward. Like I'm way more looking forward to the Batman Part 2 than I was before the Penguin came out. So the show is definitely doing its job. So let's do our job. Let's break down the episode. So it starts out with the fallout of previous episodes where as we saw, Vic made the save on Oz, and he destroyed, he crashed his plum Maserati. And
R.I.P.
so, yeah, R.I.P. So Oz burns the Maserati. Now, this is not the only thing he'll burn in this episode. We will talk more about that
Okay.
shortly. But he burns the Maserati, and he tells Vic, he's like, kid, it's you and me now till the end. And any time we get ourselves some goddamn respect. And Vic doesn't need any more firing up, but he's ready to go. He said, "Let's fucking go." So you can see Vic after what happened in episode 3, he's fully on board with Oz and whatever his plan is. What did you think about the opening scene and just the interaction between Vic and Oz?
It's a great continuation of episode 3, or the ending of episode 3, of course, because of the events that transpired. Episode 4 was predominantly about Sofia and her backstory, and then present day after the events of the Maronis and Oz and what Vic did to save the day. But with Oz, just kind of being very casual even about his very prized possession, that is that plum Maserati, right? He goes to tell Vic about this, the gangster, the mob boss, if you will, that was in Oz's neighborhood when he was a boy, and basically saying that, when Rex Calabrese was rolling down the streets basically in his Cadillac, it was a gold Cadillac, it's like the whole neighborhood was being blessed, even for a kid like me who, had the club foot and what have you, who, was nothing. Like, I felt blessed basically. And Oz, I think, obviously wants to embody some sort of essence of Rex Calabrese, right? We don't know, like, I don't think, or at least I don't remember what ended up happening to Rex Calabrese. I mean, this is someone from, back in Oz's day, but it's clear that Oz wants to be someone of that stature, right? Like,
Yeah.
to be remembered and to be respected. That's all Oz wants, right? And when he's disrespected, that's when you see a whole other side of him. And we got to see quite a bit in this episode from Oz, like just how black-hearted he really can be. And to share that bit of information with Vic and to say, hey, it's you and me against the world. Let's get some goddamn respect. And Vic is like, I'm in. He goes, I realize that I only have one shot at this. And Oz is like, hey, you came back. That's more than what 100 Maseratis, that's worth more than 100 Maseratis, although the plum one came close.
Yeah.
I understand that, but yeah, Vic is in. He's all in, obviously, and we kind of get a little bit more from Vic in this episode than we have in previous because Vic has always seemed to be just a little unsure, very hesitant, and just like, is this really the life that I want? And now understanding what his family background was like, what his father, thought about the gangsters in Crown Point, what have you. He didn't want that for his son. Well, they're not here anymore. So Vic is all in with Oz. Oz calls up his boys to come and retrieve them. And he's basically saying, hey, listen, I've got something in the works, but the Maronis came and fucked it up. We got to get our product back. And this is the opportunity that we need to seize upon. And that's to uh, get to the Maroni's son, who's like their blind spot, if you will. So great intro. I love how we're kind of seeing that side of Oz and just like his rationale, if you will. But is it going to pan out is obviously the main question to be answered.
Yeah, no, it's a really good question. Because like you said, Oz wastes no time. He's already got another plan rolling right away. And like you said, they're going after Taj Maroney, who they've discovered on TikTok, who's talking about getting a tattoo. They go to the tattoo parlor. He's getting a back piece done. He's got his headphones on, and I love the shot of like he's sitting there, waiting to get tatted up, and then you see the guys around him, see blood flying and bullets flying everywhere, and then they take the kid.
So I want to just touch on that real quick, Justin, because Taj Maroney apparently is, just like a millennial or Gen Z or whatever
Yeah.
who takes to TikTok. And I'm not on TikTok. I know you're not on TikTok. If you can help it, you wouldn't be on social media. But it's just very apropos as to what's happening in our day where everyone just puts their business out there on social media. And
Yeah.
basically Taj just has a big mouth and he's basically saying like, I'm here, I'm going to get tatted up by my boy. And also the Maronis are fucking coming back. You've messed with the wrong fucking family, just trying to be hard and what have you. And Oz is like, this guy ain't shit, So
Yeah.
they roll up on the tattoos parlor. Taj is oblivious. And I want to point out the back piece that he's getting tatted up is that of a phoenix, right? And phoenix in mythological history is the phoenix is when it dies, it burns, right?
Yeah.
But it's reborn from its ashes. So is that something that's foreshadowing for perhaps the Maronis
Right.
for what happens later on in this episode? Or is this potentially foreshadowing for another family that is heavily spoken about in this episode? Or is it even foreshadowing for Oz? I mean, it's just the
Or maybe for Jean Grey. No, kidding.
yes, Dark Phoenix.
That's
Hashtag
Marvel.
Dark
Yeah.
Phoenix. But no, I just thought the symbolism of the Phoenix itself, it didn't spoiler, it didn't pan out well for Taj in the
No.
very end.
No.
It was very much foreshadowing what was going to happen to him. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But I like the symbolism of that being showcased on this episode.
Yeah. Before we continue, let's go take a question from the chat. We got
Yep.
King B Johnson. We appreciate you joining us tonight. His question is: are y'all doing a Venom: The Last Dance show? I'm not sure about that yet. I'm gonna see the movie this Friday. I don't know if when Brittany will see it.
Probably this weekend.
Okay, so we might do something next week. We will definitely let you know if we do something. We've actually never done a Venom pod. We didn't. I've actually the other two movies I didn't see in the theaters. I saw them just on streaming. So
it's a great time to plug in that if y'all want to check out to see what we are going to cover in future podcasts, be sure you're subscribed, hit that notification bell. That way, the next time we go live. And we definitely do promote our upcoming live streams before we go live, of course. So yeah, we do have intentions for sure, Justin, to do Venom. You're going to see it before I will, of course. But yeah, since this is going to be, I believe, Tom Hardy's last performance as Eddie, Brock,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
or Venom. So we'll see. But yeah, that's something I do and I do want to cover because I did enjoy the Venom movies.
Okay. Well, we will likely next week sometime we will talk about
Yeah.
Venom: The Last Dance. So,
Mhm.
back to the Penguin episode 5. So now that they've kidnapped Maroni's son Taj, Oz takes that bargaining chip with him to Blackgate to the prison to visit Sal and Nadia.
Just
But
another day.
yeah, by the way, like, isn't it kind of strange how like Nadia is just there hanging out with Sal? Like,
That's what I've been saying. Like maybe I said this to Tristan on the pod that you weren't able to join us for that one time,
yeah,
but I just like how casually Oz gets to go to Blackgate and
right,
he gets to constantly meet with like a well-known mob boss and
right,
his family and like it's not like there's not a care in the world with these guards. And like
yeah,
let's just face it, they're all paid off to some degree, right? I mean, that much we got to see in this episode. But yeah, just very casual. Like I said, Oz frequents Blackgate and then
yeah,
apparently Nadia frequents Blackgate. Like, sure, let's go with it.
yeah. And like, she's always there whenever Oz goes to visit. So
Yeah.
very strange. Anyway, so Oz is visiting Sal and Nadia. He mentions that, I've got your son. Let's make a trade. Trade your kid for the bliss. And
Mhm.
of course, Sal and Nadia are very upset, but they do want to get their son back. Then as Oz is leaving, he pays a prison guard to kill Salvatore, which we will talk about in a little while.
I have
Uh,
to put a pin in this real quick, Justin, because he said 11 o'clock, which that much is understood. But red jacket, I'm like, what the hell does red
yeah,
jacket mean?
you know what? Let's just get into it because, like, he says red jacket. He wants him to kill Salvatore. Later on in the episode, we do see a guard try to get the jump on Salvatore, which to me, when I saw it, I thought he did. It looked like he stabbed him in the stomach.
He did. He
And
did stab
so,
him in the stomach, but
right, but then it's like, how did Salvatore? How did he get? I guess he killed that guy.
yeah.
How did he kill the guy and then so easily escape? Now I understand, like, obviously he has a lot of pull being a crime boss, but it's like, well,
Mhm.
if he has all this pull, why was he in prison? I mean, if
For
he could
that
have got,
long.
yeah, if he could have gotten out on his at any time he wanted to, then why did he wait? However many years he's in Blackgate. It just that part of it didn't totally add up to me.
Yeah.
And
Also,
we
red jacket. There was no red jacket.
there
Like,
was no
unless
red
that
jacket.
just
Yeah,
means like bloody him up,
maybe
or
that's what that. Maybe
I
it means
don't.
give it. Maybe it means give him a red jacket. Maybe that's like
It,
stab him. That maybe that's the
I
slang or
mean,
something. We don't know. Yeah.
Salvatore will wear red later on in the episode. Like he's wearing like a red sweater,
Yeah.
but I don't know, that terminology just kind of lost on me. So I don't know if anyone out there can clarify that just for my sheer curiosity. Appreciate it. But yeah, that doesn't go according to plan for Oz because Oz is still playing the game. He's still playing the Maronis,
Yeah.
if you will, against the him or the Falcons and what have you. Um, but as a result of leaving Blackgate, like you said, he's paying off one of the guards to assassinate Salvatore. We see that there's footage playing on the news
Yeah.
uh, announcing the deaths of the majority of the Falcone family. But Sofia is a known survivor, which of course catches Oz's attention. We shift from Blackgate to the mansion, the Falcone mansion, where we've got
Scene
body
of the crime.
bags,
Yeah.
scene of the crime. And I don't remember, Justin, and I probably should have counted this out at the end of last episode. How many family members were killed? Was it the same number of people that Sofia was accused of murdering as the hangman? I was
Uh,
trying to tie it in together.
I
Like,
think be many more because I mean, obviously,
okay.
not everyone is like a blood relative. It's everyone who is in the house
Right,
except for
right,
Johnny Vitti and obviously little Gia, which she took to the
right.
greenhouse. So, probably I would say 25, 30 people maybe were killed.
But I was trying to count out like how many people were like on the lawn, like the body bags, like how many were,
Oh,
along the lawn. And I was trying to count out because it's like, okay, Luca, his wife,
yeah.
uh Milos, the Gia's parents, that's six right there. And then there
Right.
had been like numerous guards or what have you. So
Yeah.
I don't know. In my head, I was just like, because of what Sophia had endured,
Mhm.
being accused of crimes that she never committed. She was at Arkham. It made her crazy. And then it's kind of like she snaps. It's like, well, if I'm already here for crimes I didn't commit, might as well go ahead and do the thing,
Yeah.
which to me is completely logical. I'm not saying I endorse it.
Right,
Just
right.
it's logical. So
Yeah.
I just thought for myself, I was like, okay, she killed the amount of people that she was accused of killing when she went
I
into Arkham. But anyway,
I think she killed many more. Yeah.
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
But yeah, she puts on this show for Gotham City Police Chief, and is just playing it like I knew nothing. I went to
Yeah.
the greenhouse because there was an argument that I didn't think the little girl should be a part of, and I have no idea where Johnny Beatty is, and of course she gets called on her crap. Like, oh, it's just very suspicious that Johnny Beatty isn't here, and then she she transforms. She's like, "Is that a question you want me to answer?" And I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah.
did you just reveal yourself right here? Like,
Yeah.
really? Did you just give yourself up to the police chief? Come on." What'd you think of her performance in this encounter?
Oh, no, she's great. I mean, she's great in every scene that she's in this show. I wanted to point out that this police chief Bach, he was also in the Batman, if you'll remember. He
I
has a
don't.
very distinct voice.
He
It's
does. So
and
does
almost
Nadia.
yeah,
So does
oh,
Nadia.
yeah, Nadia, yeah, their voices are, like, insane. In fact, Nadia, the actress who plays Nadia, she was on the official companion pod this week because
Oh,
obviously
cool.
the
Yeah.
character doesn't make it out, spoilers of this episode. Her voice is insane to listen to on a
Mhm.
podcast, like, it's yeah.
It's almost like
But
a chain smoker's voice,
yeah,
which
yeah,
I don't think that's necessarily the case for her. She's just has a
it's
very raspy, deep
it's so
voice.
deep and raspy, it sounds like she's, like, putting on a voice. It doesn't sound like a real person's
Almost.
voice, but I think it clearly is her voice.
It's a
But
very interesting voice.
yeah. But as far as this police chief, there's a little moment in the beginning of their interaction which, might mean nothing, but I think it was meant to foreshadow later. Because he calls her Miss Falcone, which,
Mhm.
someone would, and she's like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
"I prefer Sophia," which, again,
Mhm.
a lot of people would say that, but why she says, "I prefer
Yeah.
Sophia," is because it's foreshadowing to later where
Yes.
she's like, "We're done with the Falcone name,"
Mhm.
and so
Yeah.
she's already at that point. I did like that little
Mhm.
kinda nod.
Mhm.
And then also we see that in that moment that little Gia is being sent to a children's home.
Yeah.
So
Poor thing.
I don't think we're gonna I don't think the Batman saga is gonna last long enough for Gia. Yeah, what's her last name Vitti? I think her name is Vitti. Either Gia
Well,
V or Via
no, she would be something else because the cousin, the
so
Carla was, I think, Johnny Beatty's sibling, and so she would have
sister.
married into somebody else.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
There you go.
so
So she's
I don't
probably a
know.
Falcone.
It
Yeah.
doesn't really
Yeah.
matter at this
I,
point,
I don't
like
think we're gonna see little Gia Falcone come back and go head to head with Sophia, but you
unless she
never
becomes a villain.
You never yeah, exactly. Um, but, and then she mentions to the cop about how, like, y'all have been on the payroll, so, like, you coming here accusing me is pretty rich because,
Yeah.
like, do you often make house calls? We don't live inside the city, so, like, you're going out of your way, and then,
Are you gonna
you
swap
know
photos with your buddies,
yeah. Are
with
you gonna sell 'em?
congratulatory beers,
Yeah,
and recoup what loss of kickbacks,
yeah.
you once had? I don't know.
So,
I was like, "Ooh, ooh."
yeah, sell the pictures to the newspaper
Mhm.
to make some money, which,
Yeah.
that stuff does happen, unfortunately. In fact, very famous death a couple of years ago, Kobe Bryant, when he died in his
Yeah.
tragic helicopter crash, there were police in that Los Angeles kinda area who were later, caught trying to sell pictures of his dead body, which is disgusting, but so I did think about that when I was watching this, but,
Yeah.
anyway, moving on. So, the cop asks about where was Johnny Vitti. Of course, she says she doesn't know. Well, then we find out right away where Johnny Vitti is.
She's a
Sophia has him
liar.
yeah, she has him chained up. He's in a Falcone would you call it a tomb? Mausoleum? What would you
I'd call it
describe
a
that?
mausoleum.
Mausoleum? Okay.
Yeah.
And, yeah, he's not in good shape, and it's very cold down there, and Sophia's dumping a bucket of ice water on him just to make it even worse.
Yeah.
What'd you think about, Michael Kelly here as Johnny Vitti in what would end up being his final episode?
Finally had a little bit more screen time than what
Yeah,
he has been previously shown in these episodes, and trying to appeal to Sophia and whatever little bit of humanity she may still possess, because he starts off this conversation with like, you're sick, who kills their whole family? And I'm like, well, that's really rich coming from you, sir, who has threatened her endlessly, who wrote an affidavit against her over 10 years ago. And then you've been sleeping with the head of the family's wife for, some time. So like that's really really rich from Johnny Vitti. But trying to appeal to her humanity eventually. I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but he's doing the thing that I think anyone would try to do, and that's just to survive. And she wants information from him about the untraceable cash that her father Carmine would have had. He's like the only person left who would know that information, and he's just not willing to cooperate with her at that moment. But then at the same time, she's just going to torture him to get what she wants. And it's a matter of the waiting game to see if he can be broken. And he can be broken. Let's put it that way. He definitely can be broken. So
Yeah.
Shout out to Mel, Geeking Out Melly Mel, for joining us in today's pod. We appreciate you being here.
Yes, we do.
Sorry.
Let's continue with the Vitti stuff, because Vitti, you're right, he does kind of reach a breaking point, and he talks to Sofia about her mother. And he, it's funny because when he starts off his little kind of diatribe, he mentions like she was going to leave him. And when you hear him say that without context, you're like, oh, he's talking about Tina Falcone, Luca's wife, right? Because that's who he
I
was.
didn't get that, but sure.
Oh, I did, because that's who he's having the affair with. So it makes it sound like, this like love of his life was going to be free to be with him. But then he mentions, no, he meant Isabella Falcone, Sofia's mother, who we saw in the previous episode, died by
hanging,
suicide, or by the help of Carmine Falcone.
Yeah.
I did like how they kind of played that, and he told the story of how, like, he loved Isabella's his cousin. He loved her. He actually feels guilty because he's the one who introduced Isabella to Carmine, and that she was trying to leave. She actually left one time, but she came back because of the damn kids, meaning Alberto.
That's why you don't have kids, people.
Right. Blame it, especially if you're going to be an organized crime. Yeah, you got to be flexible, you got to be nimble. You got to be able to move if you need to,
I will say that with Johnny talking about his cousin that way, because he started off with like, she was just so beautiful. She was so beautiful, and she had this laugh that could, get you going. And I'm like, is this like some Lannister shit right here? Like, was he in love with his cousin and he couldn't have her or something? Like, I don't that's the vibe I got, but maybe I'm just so filth minded at this point from all the TV shows that I've watched.
I didn't really get that. Yeah.
Smut reading I've read. I don't know. That's what I got. But yeah, him going on about the truth of the relationship that was Carmine and Isabella's, marriage. And Sofia doesn't want to hear it, because no child wants to hear that, their parents' marriage was anything but, great. And that's a hard reality for Sofia to accept, but it fits because of now she, knowing what she knew going into Arkham of the markings on, on her father's hand, and then the what do you call it, self defense wounds, if you will, on her mother's fingertips, and so on and so on. So it all fits. Like, you don't walk away from the family like that easily, right? No one would. And so with Johnny saying all this to her to once again appeal to whatever humanity Sofia may still possess, he's still telling her, listen, you need to be the one running this family. Like, let me help you. Like, these guys, you need their respect. I can help you get their respect. And then there's kind of like this moment between the two of them. It's like, oh shit, is she gonna like? Because I initially thought that she was going to pin the whole the Falcone family deaths on Johnny Vitti, right? That's why she kept him alive. That's immediately what I thought was going to happen. But for her to keep him alive for reasons, then it's like, okay, well, keep me around so that I can help you.
Yeah.
Like, I was the underboss for so long, but let me help you. And I'm like, this is not going to end well.
Yeah, I mean, I knew she was going to obviously she kept him alive to use him in some manner, whether to get her some soldiers, which that's kind of the reason why she kept him around.
Yeah.
But I thought it was gonna be more directly tied to Oz, and it was not. It didn't
That too.
disappoint. Yeah, I did how they decided to get rid of Johnny Vitti did not disappoint. We'll talk about that in
Ye
a second. But, I was kinda surprised with, the fact that it wasn't Oz related. But I guess it
Mhm.
makes sense because you can't really have those 2 characters. You can't have Sophia and Oz come together right now
No.
because you've got 3 more episodes after this one, and
Yeah.
I don't think they're gonna interact until the finale. That's my guess.
Probably penultimate
Yeah,
to
right, maybe so.
the finale. That's
Yeah.
like, I feel like it's gonna have to carry over. Like, if they do it right, I feel like that's how it's gonna have to be.
I just hope she makes it out. I hope she's in the Batman part 2, I really do.
Oh
No, she's a
goodness.
great character. I think everybody, like, loves this character.
Yeah,
It's a
she's really good. She's complex, but, like, she's
yeah.
a really great character,
Yeah, I mean,
for
Cristin
sure.
Milioti is really, like, taking a character that is, not very well known, and has
Mhm.
elevated the character, so
Yeah,
I
for
hope
sure.
that this character stays alive in this story and continues on in the Batman part 2, but,
Mhm.
we'll have to wait and
Well
see about that.
well, and talking about elevation,
Mhm.
she is I'm just gonna kinda stay on Sophia's character for a bit. She's now trying to embody this role of now she's the matriarch of this family, right?
Right.
And as she's getting ready to meet with the family, we get kind of a surprise visit of Julian Rush, her
Yeah.
therapist from Arkham, who saved her or helped her after the Maroni Oz incident, and he basically offers his services to her.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, okay, so we're just throwing everything out the window, and he wants her." Like, let's just be real. He wants her, and he will do
Yeah.
whatever it takes to be with her
Yeah.
at whatever
No,
capacity.
that's clear, yeah. He wants in. He wants to be a part of whatever she's a part of. He said that he saw in the news about the Falcons, dying, and he knew that she was behind it. He knew that this was her, getting her fresh start, getting the release she needed,
Yeah.
and he's all on board. So,
Mhm.
I could definitely see him becoming, the evil doctor, the evil whatever psychiatrist that maybe he was always meant to be. But,
Oh, goodness.
I think he'll be a great, um, member of her team.
Is it gonna be Harley Quinn? I'm just kidding. Um,
It's kind of a Harley Quinn Joker story, just, reverse,
reverse
change the
genders,
sex.
yeah.
Yeah. So,
That is
yeah,
funny.
yeah,
Yeah, that in a way kinda surprised me because I thought maybe he, like any good doctor, would try to get her to reason, but at this point, he's just like, "Nope, this is who she is. Like, there's no changing her.
yeah,
Arkham did this to her. I helped make her into what she is, and this is just kinda what I have to roll with." But it's like, you also don't have to put yourself in this position of being in the family or trying to be with her because I'm calling it out. It's not gonna end well for him either. Like, he's gonna be disposable. Like, unless he really proves something, maybe like aiding her in getting more bliss or something. I'm not sure. I'm not sure
I
how
I
useful he may be.
I think what you just mentioned is probably how he'll be her confidant, he'll be her sidekick who will be in
He
charge
keeps
of
her
getting it.
leveled, maybe?
Well,
No
I
going
mean,
too far off the deep end?
no, I think more so like what you said, I think he's gonna be the one who will help her get the drugs.
Get bliss, yeah.
Yeah,
That makes sense. Yeah, that was a little shocking. But let's flip back to Oz,
yeah,
Justin, if that's okay.
yeah,
Because in the interim of all this, um, Sophia trying to get info from Johnny, Oz has to think about, okay, what am I going to do? I've got the Maroney son. I need to be able to get the drugs back from the Maronis. He goes to his, I guess you could say, safe house of that one female that he
Eve, yeah,
sees, Eve,
mhm,
and she's freaking out. Rightfully so. She's
yeah,
freaking out because everything's going to shit. Everything that Oz had promised would happen hasn't. It's gone the complete opposite side. Sophia Falcone is, a force to be reckoned with. She's afraid for herself and for her girls because they've all, been around her. She's concerned about the target being put on their back, and Oz is all like, "Hey, listen, I've got a plan. You just gotta trust me. You gotta wait it out. I got this." So when Oz and them go to make the exchange with the Maronis,
yeah,
right? Go to like this secluded warehouse thing, and it's going to be a standoff. Let's just be real, right? Nadia wants to see her son before Oz can get his hands on the drugs. The shrooms, which we have to keep in mind that they have to be kept at a certain temperature, or else they're going to be completely useless.
Right.
But as the exchange is happening, right, Taj is taken out from the back of the van. He's drenched, and it's like, why? Why is he drenched? We'll soon find out why. But the Maronis, don't trust Oz, rightfully so, right? As soon as the exchange is made, the whole warehouse starts shutting down. Guns are, firing off left and right. Justin, what happens next?
Well, our friend, I wouldn't say our friend, but we just met him, but Taj Maroney. So he was drenched, like you said, Brittany, but he was drenched in gasoline. So as he walks over to his mother, there's a trail of gasoline to her. She hugs him. Oz lights his fires up his lighter, lights the path, and we see Nadia and Taj Maroney roasted.
They get cooked.
Up in flames. They get cooked. Yeah,
they get cooked.
I did not
see that coming.
No,
but the look on Oz's face as he does it, like not giving a shit, just watching them burn. No reaction whatsoever. And I'm like, this is a psychopath. Like, when you exhibit no emotions whatsoever, whoo, that is intense. I mean, because while that's happening, gun firing, from both sides are happening, right? And the two Maronis are up in flames. The heir to the throne and the wife to the king of the Maroni family. Insane. Did not see that happening. R.I.P. to Nadia, because I kind of liked her. I'm just saying. I like a strong female who's head of the family, okay? Like, I appreciated her.
Yeah, it was surprising because I didn't expect her to die at this point.
No.
I mean, in the finale, of course, like, or, 7th episode, cool. But like, we just were kind of getting to know her in the last couple episodes. So the show does not waste time disposing of characters.
So like I said, with that Phoenix tattoo, the Phoenix dies, it bursts into flame as it dies, but it will be reborn from its ashes. So let's put a pin in that. We'll come back to that in a little bit. But Oz, has to make the getaway to get the shrooms out of there, because now we've got like, I don't know what you call it, the water.
Yeah, basically the fire sets off like the extinguisher.
There you go, extinguisher. Right. Can I just say, the choice of using the Police song, do da da da, was hilarious to me. I was not expecting to hear that at all. I'm still trying to make the tie-in to like why they chose that song for that particular getaway scene, but hey, I love me the Police song. Period. Oh, I thought it was great.
The music.
Da da da. That's all I want to say to you. There you go. That's my song for the day.
There you go. Yeah. No, the music choices have always been really good.
Oh yeah.
So that continues in this episode. Yeah, like you said, because the fire, it's a chemical fire. It the extinguisher stuff comes down from the ceiling, and destroys most of the bliss, which is a problem because that was the whole reason for the trade. That's why he traded. Taj was for the drugs that Sofia had told him about in the previous episodes. So so they don't have a lot of bliss, which is tough. Then Oz gets a call from Sal. He thinks it's from the guard that he paid to assassinate Sal.
Yep.
And Salvatore says, thanks for getting me the keys so I can get out of Blackgate. He threatens Oz. And
he's like, "You're cooked."
He's like, "You're cooked," and it's like really poor choice of words.
Oh.
And Oz says, "Why don't you call your wife and see if she answers?" And Salvatore later learns not only his wife but also his son were lit on fire, and they are no more. So,
R.I.P.
pretty dramatic stuff. With Oz and Sal.
Mm-hmm. And it just keeps going because Oz now has to figure out his next move. Like, he only has two useful shrooms that he's got to be able
2 buckets full of
or 2 buckets, thank you, of shrooms that he can use, and he's got to figure out what to do. He knows that he needs to get his mother somewhere safe, so he calls on
Right.
Vic to go get his mom from where she lives, take care of her, make sure she's got her meds, and get her somewhere safe. And so Vic will go to I was supposed to say Mama Falcone, just kidding. Mama Cobblepot's house. Wow,
Cobb.
that was
It's Cobb.
oh
Yeah.
fine, Cobb.
Francis Cobb. That is
Francis Cobb.
Oz's mother's name. Yeah.
Right.
So early in the episode, Oz basically gave Vic the important assignment of taking care of his mother. So
Yep.
Vic went to her house, which is in Gotham or outside of Gotham, and was with her. And of course, she's suffering from dementia. So,
Mm-hmm.
he walks in and she thinks it's one of her other sons who died. We still don't know the story behind him, but I'm sure we'll get that pretty soon. And so Vic is taking care of her at her house. But then after the fallout with Salvatore and everything, um, Oz is like, look, you've got to get her out of here, take her
Mm-hmm.
wherever you can. And Vic actually has a really great idea of like, well, I'm going to take her to Crown Point because no one would think about looking there because
Yeah.
it's, it was the the part of Gotham that was hit the hardest by the seawall destruction and then the flooding and everything.
Right.
It's a bad neighborhood anyway. So he takes her there, and they actually go to an apartment that one of his friends had. It might have been the friend who was shot in the head by
It
Sofia.
was.
Okay, it was okay.
Yeah.
And of course,
Which
yeah,
just I mean really quick, because they have to move very scarcely like through
yeah,
the rubble that is Crown Point, which Frances, by the way, is not a fan of being there, right?
no,
She
no,
once lived in Crown Point, or very close by where they are. And she's an older woman. She's suffering from dementia. She moves slow and what have you. But because Vic took her there, this is his stomping grounds. I would have thought he at least would have considered that his friend Calvin, whose condemned apartment they're going to,
mhm,
Calvin's cousin is Squid. Squid, who, runs the streets and
right.
does bad things and what have you. Did it ever occur to Vic that Squid probably is still around?
I'm sure it did, but granted, young kid, he's
Nah,
been
that's
told
fair.
like,
That's fair.
I mean, honestly, he's thinking on his feet, trying to figure out where to take
Sure.
Francis Cobb, and it's not a
Yeah.
bad plan. But then, of course, like you mentioned, Squid does see someone taking an older woman into this building. I don't know that he knew for sure it was Vic,
Vic or not. Yeah.
but he probably, I mean, definitely that's gonna. We don't get a payoff in this episode, but I can imagine that
It's
Squid will.
foreshadowing. It has to be.
Yeah,
Like everything in this episode was definitely foreshadowing for something that's going to play out, hopefully, in the next episodes to come. But I was like, okay, well, like yes, smart to go somewhere where at least the Falcones and the Maronis wouldn't think to go,
yeah,
because this is like dirt, low income now, like just the lowest of the low of Gotham residents who still reside there. And yeah, probably one of the safest places for Frances, but mentally, it's not one of the safest places for her to be
right.
at, because it's bringing up old memories and just old stories, and she's not happy about being there at all. That much is shown across her face when Oz does finally come to the apartment and tries to talk to her. She just like she wants nothing to do with him. He's trying to like kind of comfort her, and as she's trying to sleep, and she says, get off, and like what kind of man can't take care of his mother? I mean, these are very hurtful words for Oz, because he's constantly trying to get his mother's approval, right? He wants her, he needs her approval, he needs her love and approval just as much as he needs like Eve's love and approval, and we'll get
Right.
to that in a moment. But with Frances, I feel like being in that environment is definitely not going to be good for her mental health. Like she is going to like decline even faster,
Yeah.
and probably become more of a problem than Vic or Oz would anticipate.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And we just go back a little bit. Um, whenever Vic told her like, why are we, or she asked Vic like, why are we leaving the house?
Mm-hmm.
He said because Oz is
Mm-hmm.
making some moves, and she's like, okay, well, what happened? And he mentions that, well, he's worried about the Maronis coming after them, and she's like, well, that's you've got it wrong because the Falcons are the bigger fish, and then Vic tells her, well, the Falcons are all dead.
Mhm.
And then she asks, "Well, did how did they die?" And he says, "Well, and Vic kind of lies. He says,
Yeah.
that Oz did
Oz.
it, and it's really what she wants to hear.
Mhm.
She gets excited by the fact that her son took out the Falcons. So
Yeah.
I wonder if the Falcons had something to do with their with her son's death,
I
or
wouldn't doubt it.
if it's
Uh,
something
I
related. I feel like we'll get that answer pretty soon. But
I'm gonna kinda tie it back into episode 4, the
mhm.
flashback with Sofia and Oz as her driver. After Oz has ratted her out to Carmine, Carmine sends her to go home, so they're back in the car, and Oz is trying to explain himself, and she's like, "No," she goes, "You got what you wanted. My father sees you now. Like, everyone that you care and love, like, is now a target, basically." Like,
Yeah,
and I wonder if whatever happened between his family, Oz's family, his brothers, and maybe even father, if that all happened like during that time that Sophia was away. Because he told her at the funeral, like, "Oh yeah, my mom, she
mhm.
died a few years back and what have you." He's trying to cover up and say like my whole family
Yeah.
was, something happened, but like we never got the details. So maybe something actually did happen with the brothers and the father and the Falcons while she was away. Just a
Maybe
thought.
so. Yeah, no, it's good thinking. We'll see. I feel like it happened before all that, but
Maybe. Maybe.
because I know the trailers for the season, I know there's a flashback where we see a younger Oz, like an Oz who's like like 10 or 12 years old, or maybe
Oh,
15.
okay.
So
Well, he did
that
say that the city took his brothers.
right,
So, but maybe
right,
they were working for the Falcons. Who knows?
maybe so. Yeah,
Maybe that's why Oz ended up wanting to be a driver for the Falcons. I don't know. He was
well,
already plotting his revenge.
very very well could have been.
Dun, dun, dun.
Let's go ahead and wrap up the Oz talk. So you mentioned about Eve. Now earlier in the episode, he took his crew and Vic, and at the time when Taj was still alive, Taj Maroney, to Eve's house. She's not a fan of it. She wants no part of this. She's deathly
Yeah.
afraid of Sophia, aka
Mhm.
the hang. She's still calling her the hangman. She doesn't really know the story.
Of course.
So she wants no part of it because she knows that you know Sophia knows her face and she knows her girl's faces, and so, she
Yeah.
may, Sophia may retaliate, come after them. Later on in the episode, Oz goes to Eve once again, tells her, "Hey, pack up your stuff. We're gonna go," and she turns him down,
Mhm.
which really hurts him because he thinks
Eh,
they're in it together, and you can see Eve has some compassion for him, but she's not willing to go to Crown Point with Oz.
Did you think that maybe he was gonna unalive her at that moment? Because the
No,
disrespect.
no, I didn't think so, but I do
Okay.
wonder, like, I wonder how that character is gonna continue in this series. Like, will she
Mm,
be murdered as Sophia looks for Oz, or might
oh
she
boy.
flip on Oz? I don't know.
Yeah.
I think there's a couple ways they could go, so I'm
Yeah.
interested to find out what
Yeah,
happens
for
with that
sure.
character. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. No, it's unfortunate for him because he really like obviously cares about her and she like yeah, she probably, you know, is a prostitute of sorts, right? And this and that, what have you.
Yeah,
But
she's like the madam of the
right. But
yeah,
she does seem to perhaps genuinely care for him, which
right.
is a rarity in his life, it seems. So yeah, to be turned down by the woman that you really care about has to suck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Certainly so. So, like I said, to wrap up the Oz storyline in the episode, as you mentioned before, Brittany, we see Oz goes to the apartment that Vic has found at Crown Point,
Yep.
and after the mother gets mad at him, tells him to leave, get off, whatever. So then he goes and he finds Vic inside and wakes him up, tells the kid like, "You did a good job, you did good,
Yeah.
kid." Like and
He's
in
smart.
this episode, we see a couple of like rah speeches from both
Mhm.
Oz and from Sophia to rally their troops, to rally their people. We see Oz do this with Vic a couple times.
Yeah.
We also see him do it with his men. He tells them, "Hey, like none of you are made men. All the Falcons, they did everything. They worked. All this money they made was on your back, and you didn't get
Hmm.
any of it. They don't know your names, and that kind of stuff." And
Yeah.
we see Sophia do something similar, but we'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
But as with Oz, going through some kind of keepsakes that his mom's like, packed up, and
Mhm.
he discovers this old trolley token,
Mhm.
and which reminds him that, oh, well, the underground trolleys used to run in this area. And
Mhm.
so Oz and Vic go down and get in there, and they break in there. They find the underground trolley system, which Vic knew nothing about. Oz tells him about that, which if you've seen the Batman, you do know something about that. And I do think it's interesting because Oz is down there underground, and he's like, "Oh, this is the perfect place for our mushrooms, for the bliss to thrive." It's dark and it's humid down here, so this is gonna be our new base of operation. And it's like, well, that's also the Batman's base of operation. So I'm really curious to see, like, I don't think we're not gonna see the Batman in this series, but
No.
like, it is interesting that in this world, the Batman's Batcave, if you will, is the undergrounds of Gotham, much like now the Penguin's den.
I definitely, when watching this scene play out, they're walking. I'm not gonna lie, I got a little claustrophobic because I am claustrophobic. So, it's dark, it's long, narrow, pathway. But I was like, oh, I was wondering how long it would take before the Penguin moved his operations underground. And then enter my mind the Danny DeVito Batman Returns with, his crew
Yeah.
being underground and operating the way that they do. And it's like, oh, we're just missing, circus people and penguins at this point. So like that's cool. But yeah, no, I thought that was a really nice tie-in, of course. I actually did forget that the Batman, uh, his
Yeah.
operations were also underground, what have you. So, there you go. Nice,
You know,
nice tying in everything.
something else that I want to touch on before we talk about Sophia, when they give us the trailer for next week, the look ahead,
Mhm.
they show a person driving a motorcycle in the underground trolley system. Now, if you've seen the Batman, there are two prominent people that drive
Ah,
motorcycles, Batman and Catwoman. I'm not saying
Catwoman.
either one of them are in this show. I don't think they are, but I do think it's interesting how that it opened on, a helmeted person riding a motorcycle in the underground trolley system of Gotham. So, just food for thought. We'll see what happens. It may just be someone who's a messenger who works for Oz or whatever, but interesting.
Or an alliance, with other families that Oz is
Yeah,
probably trying to reach out to and what have you. It could
maybe.
be something like
Yeah,
that. But now that you mentioned it too, of course, with Selena Kyle being, Catwoman, I think in iterations, the one old time mob boss that Oz is aspiring to be like, Rex Calabrese. I
mhm,
believe I read somewhere that in some iterations he is Selena Kyle's father. But I
right.
think
Yeah.
there was it in the Batman that it suggested that Selena Kyle's father
Carmine
is
Falcone.
there we go.
So, see,
So
Sophia is the half sister of
Selena Kyle.
Catwoman. Yeah.
Yeah. So that would be interesting if we were able to get some sort of tie in that way. But if Zoe Kravitz comes into the show, I might just lose my shit. Not gonna lie, not I
Well,
might lose my shit.
Brittany, it's really interesting that the Penguin became the first thing after the Batman, because a lot of people thought that we were gonna get like a Catwoman series or a Catwoman
Hmm.
movie.
Hmm.
With the success of the Penguin, we might get a Catwoman series. I would not be surprised by that at all, because I'm not sure if she's gonna be in the Batman Part 2. I mean, I think she will
Hmm.
be, but will she be a, pivotal character? Because,
I mean,
the
she
Penguin,
left at the very end of the Batman. She
she did leave,
left,
yeah.
so
But if you
she could
kinda
make a
go off,
return.
yeah, like, the Penguin, he was only in a handful of scenes in the Batman, so that's
Yeah,
that's kinda why they wanted to further explore the character in the
interesting.
series.
Interesting.
So, if she's not in the Batman Part 2, that might kinda tip
Hmm.
the hint that maybe, you know, the Catwoman series will come out in 3
Yeah,
years or whatever. So,
that would be
just
very
pure
interesting.
speculation on my part, but I think it's, like,
It's a
very
fun theory.
possible. It's very
It's a
possible.
fun theory. Yeah, 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 for sure. I hadn't considered that. I kind of forgot about that. But yeah, um, that'd be that'd be cool. But yeah, so it
Yeah,
seems that Oz has found a new base of operations, and
right.
he says it's like this place. He goes, it's calling me home. Therefore, the title of Homecoming for this episode.
Yep,
All everything. You start back up where you came from, or whatever that saying is. But yeah, so it seems like they gotta get the crew. They gotta get the shrooms, they got to get things going, and they got to get Bliss out on the streets because the triads are probably not going to be happy. Other families are not going to be happy. And for sure, the gang war is going to ensue further because the fact that we have the head of the Maronis, or just the only Maroni, out and about. And then we have Sofia, who no longer wants to be a Falcone.
Yeah. Let's talk about that. So Sofia has a crew, I think large due to Johnny Vitti, and she addresses everyone, and it's, like I said, kind of a rah-rah speech, but she opens it with, I want to address the elephant in the room. I gassed the family. I'm glad they're all dead. And then she says, as of today, my father's legacy is dead. We will never speak his name again. From this point on, I am a Gigante, which that's her mother's maiden name.
Yeah.
And this is a new family now.
Mm-hmm.
Sofia, so she's totally rebranded her family name.
Mm-hmm.
And now
while wearing her mother's coat.
Yep. And she's now taking Carmine's leftover men and having them join her new family.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's like I said, it's a rah-rah speech where she's saying stuff like, my father made all this money off of you and no one knew your names. They don't care.
Mm-hmm.
You're not a made man. The only made man here is Johnny V, which she kisses on the top of his head, which turns out to be the kiss of death, because very shortly after, in a very surprising move, Johnny V is kind of objecting to the fact that, like, you like, cause she mentions like she wants to end the war between the Maronis and the Falcones. And I mean, the Falcones are no more. They're gone. Now they're Gigantes. And she says she's going to end the war with the Maronis. And basically she, saying that she's going to work with them. Vitti's like, no, that's not what you should do. Before he can say another word, she blows his brains out right there in front of everybody. His blood is all over the table. She takes the cash that she got from Johnny earlier in the episode, dumps the blood money, literally in blood, and tells everyone, like, you're going to get paid what you're worth.
And then some.
Right. And yeah, so she's got a crew, and she's got Julian Rush by her side, her doctor. So
yeah.
What'd you think about this scene? I was honestly insanely surprised at how quickly she executed Johnny Vitti. I thought he was going to get it would be more of a bigger deal when she killed him, but she just like popped him and then just kept on going.
I was blown away.
Yeah.
Pun intended. Yeah, that caught me off guard. Like I said, I was not expecting for the Maroni matriarch and son to go out the way that they did. Like, I did not see that coming at all from Oz. I mean, I figured he would try to kill them at some point, but just like not that way. And then for Sofia, like, she's just a loose cannon, right? At this point, she's just a loose cannon. She addressed it right from the get-go. Yeah, I gassed my family. They were horrible. They did nothing for me. They also did nothing for you either, right? So no love lost. Johnny Vitti, he was supposed to rally everyone, get them to sit down, listen to what she had to say. And then he's over here like, whoa, like, no. This is not how we do things here. And which is curious because the fact that he had professed to Sofia to try to save his life, how much he loved his cousin, how beautiful she was. And she tried leaving Carmine, and he felt guilty because he introduced her to Carmine, blah, 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 blah. And then he's already like speaking out against Sofia. Right. And she's like, I'm not going to have someone handle this for me. Because remember, when she was led to believe that her guy, Castillo, was the one who killed her brother, she wanted to kill him, like point blank. It was Luca who ended up doing it, right? But she took matters into her own hands. Johnny speaking out against her. He's like, listen, this is what we need to do, blah, blah. Pew! And then she continues on without skipping a beat. Like, she huffed in a way where she's like, oh, like I was interrupted. Let me get this bag of cash, make my point. And I like how she said to the guys, like, you're not cannon fodder in a fruitless war. Like she made her intentions known. She's being real with them. She's not like hiding anything. She is like, for all intents and purposes, they're all equals, right? She's not withholding info. And I appreciate that, because I'm sure that wasn't the case at all when the men were running the family. And so
Yeah.
She's like, here, take your share. One guy, he kind of starts reaching out for a stack of cash and makes eye contact with her, and he goes, Miss Gigante. And she's like, nods at him. He takes the thing, pregnant pause, and then she says to everyone else, go ahead. And they all start taking the money.
Yeah.
And it's like, this man's blood, Johnny Vidi's blood, is still hot
all over the
coming out of
table
the
too,
body.
Yeah.
And all over this money, and it's like, whatever.
I'm definitely not. I'm trying to pick out the money that's not touched the blood. That's what I was thinking. I was like, I'm gonna go on the outside here and just get as much as I can.
He was fucking Tina. We don't know who else she was fucking. Like, we don't know what kind of diseases.
Yeah, not so much.
You know what I mean?
I don't like. I mean, literally blood money. There's like,
well, yeah, literally
a lot of money. Yeah,
great visual for the blood money.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, that caught me off guard. And then, as I said, she made her intentions known. Fast forward to Salvatore, who's in his hideout somewhere.
He's in a cabin somewhere.
And he's looking at photo of his wife and son, having his moment, mourning the death of his wife and child. And you hear gunshots and such outside, and enter Sofia Gigante, right?
Yeah, she's there with her crew.
Yeah,
she's come to end the war between our families.
Mm-hmm.
She mentions the Falcons don't exist anymore. She's like, I'm offering you an alliance. We join our families, the Maronis and the Gigantes. As a show of strength, we kill Oz. We take over the city together. And at first, Sal didn't seem like he was too receptive to it, but after she explained it, I feel like that's what we're going to have. We're going to have the team up between Maroni and the Gigantes. And yeah, like I said, I just want Sofia to make it out of this season, because obviously we know Oz is going to make it out of the season, or I think we know that. I feel pretty confident about that. So, very cool place. It's setting up this crazy gang war that that will continue to play out over the final 3 episodes, and I can't wait to see, what happens next with this show.
Yeah, I mean, because Maroni, when he was speaking to Oz after he got out of Blackgate, he threatens Oz with saying, there isn't any place that I can't find you. Like, in other words, he's got resources, he's got people, very well connected. And if that's true, and Sofia is trying to, start up her new family and find any intel she can on Oz, I mean, these two families, I mean, I really don't know, with Maroni, him being like the last one or the only one, if you will, how much strength he really can offer, as well as sorry, there's a bug flying around here. Same with Sofia. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but he does have his men though. Like, yes, there might not be other people with the last name Maroni, but I mean, there might be. Who knows? But like,
yeah. But just like the symbolism, like in general, like the fact that the Maronis to some were more powerful than the Falcons, and then according to Francis Cobb, it's the Falcons who are always more powerful than the Maronis. So it's just kind of like, is it a lot of talk, or is it like real? You know what I'm saying? So, or is it all going to go to shit? Is it all blow up in their faces?
The fact that Squid, he's a drops dealer, and you wonder, like, is he a drops dealer? Does he work with the Maronis? Yeah, exactly. Does he? I mean, obviously now there are no Falcons anymore, so I imagine somehow he'll be the informant to let people know that Oz's mother is out there. Of course, he doesn't know who she is, but he does. He knows who Vic is. He knows Vic. So
and if Sofia can recognize Vic, it's only a matter of time of being able to put 2 and 2 together and what have you. And of course, who knows? Maybe Francis is going to be out somewhere wandering about, and she's gonna just be reveal all the secrets.
Well,
I mean, someone who shouldn't know.
I did think about this with the way the episode ends. I mean, it is in the middle of the night, but both Vic and Oz left her there at this abandoned apartment building in the worst part of town, while they were underground looking for this new lair. She's all alone. So I mean, there's a perfect opportunity right there for Squid or someone his people to break in and see what's going on, and they might take her captive just for the hell of it,
Mhm.
not even knowing who she is. So
Yep.
I
Don't
did think
know.
about that. So we'll see.
Don't
I don't
know.
think that's how it's gonna play out given what the trailers for next week's shows, but it's an option. And
So I have a question for you, Justin,
okay.
given that Sofia is presenting Salvatore with this alliance.
Yep.
Do you think the alliance is going to hold, or you think they're going to still try to take one another out?
I mean, the thing about it is with Salvatore, like Sophia talks about how her dad thought that Carmine, her father, he
Mhm.
thought that Salvatore was too uh,
Weak because he
weak,
loved his family
sympathetic because
so.
he loved his family. Um, I think that Salvatore, at this point, I think he'd be crazy to try to double cross Sophia, given that she just murked her family,
Mhm.
happily murked her family, then rebranded her family. I mean, I think, like, she's too formidable to, like, I mean, if he's on a suicide mission, okay, but, like, I don't see, like, for him, I think it is, like, he wants to take out Oz, and
Mhm.
I don't see him wanting to flip. I don't think that she does I mean, like, I don't think she cares about the Maroni Falcone thing, like,
Mhm.
she's 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 killed the Falcons. She doesn't care about that
Yeah.
anymore, so she's got her own plan, and definitely her plan is to take out Oz, but it also is to take over the city. And
Yeah.
I think this alliance will go as far. I mean, it won't. I don't think it'll be like they're not going to turn on each other. Is how this ends. They may get killed via Oz or via someone else, but
Mhm.
I don't see them needing to flip on each other or wanting to even. Like at this
Okay.
point, Salvatore's a broken man, and Sophia's focused on so much more than this like little like crime boss fight that she's already won. So
Fair enough.
I mean, she could have killed him right there, and he knows that.
Yeah.
I mean, easily. So
Yeah.
she has all the power right now,
Okay.
for sure.
Okay. No, I just felt like it's a question that needs to be asked, and I'm going to pose the same question to our audience. If you're watching the replay, let us know in the comments down below your thoughts on this new Maroni Gigante family alliance, and
Yeah,
in the effort to take down not only Oz, but to also take over Gotham City. Is it going to be formidable, or is it going to burn? Yes, I said that purposefully. Like I said, I like the use of the phoenix, the symbolism of what the
yeah,
phoenix stands for, with essentially the Maronis going up in flames, and then Sophia having gassed her entire family and starting anew. We're being reborn from our ashes. So
yeah,
very curious. And then it kind of seems to be for, fitting for Oz as well. Everything almost went up in flames for him with his operation, and now he's starting new.
yeah.
We'll see how that goes.
Exactly. We have 3 episodes left in this season, so looking forward to seeing what happens down the road in this excellent, excellent series from HBO and from DC Studios. So
Absolutely. Yeah, it's like the best thing I've ever watched from DC Studios.
I think the perception is going to change for DC. I think a lot of people. I think the DCU with James Gunn. I
Mhm,
think it's going to be well received. I think
mhm,
Peacemaker season 2 is coming out. Superman comes out in the summer.
mhm.
I think people are gonna have a different view of DC, and
And
this show helps also.
yeah, and I like the little changes that the showrunners have made for this show. Not that I'm very well versed in anything DC, let alone Batman and like this particular comic book series and such, but from watching the inside the episode, or inside Gotham as they call it,
Yeah,
how the showrunner has said that, in the comics it's Sophia who married into the Gigante family, and that's why she's known as Sophia Gigante, but making it more personal and tying it back to her mother who was wrongfully um who was a victim of her
right.
own father, and embracing that side of who she is, because it's not like she married into anything. That is very much a part of who she is half Gigante and half Falcone, and by her making a decision to eliminate her father's legacy and to embrace that of her mother, and to honor her mother, if you will, and start anew, I think is just beautifully like done. As heinous as it might be, it's still very beautifully done.
Yeah. No, I mean, she's definitely become. the breakout star,
Oh
not only
God,
the
yeah.
actress but the character.
Hmm.
That's why I really hope that she makes it out. I think she will because she's so popular, and I just think that like when they made this show, obviously they saw it come together, and they're like, look, this is a great character. We got to continue
Yeah.
this one because I definitely
Also,
want to see her interact with Batman in this world, or
yeah.
even the other villains, or even like Commissioner Gordon, that kind of stuff. I want to see her character continue on.
Hmm.
So yeah, looking forward to whatever happens in the final 3 episodes.
Yep, that's for sure. I just hope
So
that our characters that we like survive.
exactly. So Brittany, you have any final thoughts before we get out of here tonight?
Excellent episode. Like I said, in terms of just my favorite, number 4 is still the one to beat. The background
Yeah.
story of Sofia, damn, that girl was done so dirty. And I understand. I understand her reasons for what she's doing now. Like I said, I don't necessarily endorse it, but I understand. It's logical. They created the monster and she will behave as such. So,
Well,
just saying.
they framed her to be a monster. Now she's going
There
to
you
be a
go.
monster. So
That's the pure definition of fuck around and find out. So here we go. Yeah, no, great episode. Like I
yeah,
said, the surprising twists of the murders of certain characters. I'm like, God, Lee, like we can't just keep murking all these characters. Like we're not going to be left with anything at the very end. So, and maybe that's the intention. But hey,
I
it's
think it
great
is.
storytelling. It's great writing. It's great performances. And for those who are still on the fence about watching The Penguin because DC has had such a bad rap for, so long. I'm a non-DC girl and this is probably my favorite show of the year. So, that's saying a lot,
Yeah.
okay?
No,
Like
definitely.
I'm not easily impressed and I'm trying to go into these shows and movies and things with like zero expectations
Yeah.
and this one's actually paying off. So, just saying.
Yeah. No, it definitely is. So if you're not watching, you should be.
Should be.
So now you know what we think about episode 5 of The Penguin. We want to know what you think about it. And Brittany, what's the best way for people to let us know what they think about this episode?
Oh, join us in our live chats. Simple as that. Shout out to King B. Johnson and Mel of Geeking Out with Melly Mel for joining us in today's live chat. We appreciate you being here as always. And to those who may be watching our replay, leave a comment down below on your thoughts on this episode of The Penguin. And be sure to hit subscribe and the notification bell. That way you know the next time we go live with not only just this podcast, but other podcasts that we are doing. Justin and the guys are doing a weekly football podcast. So join them for that on Tuesday at 7:30 around that time.
7:30 usually, yeah.
Yep.
Central Time, yeah.
Central Time, that's true. And then Thursdays, we are covering the last few episodes of Disney Plus or Marvel Studios,
Yeah,
Marvel
it's on Disney
Television,
Plus.
Marvel Television, whatever. Agatha
Yeah.
all along. I'm gonna get it right one day. But yeah, that show is also very, very good. Another, villain story being told and has lots of twists as well. So be sure to hit the subscribe, hit the notification bell, and also hit the like button on this podcast if you've enjoyed our review on episode 5 of The Penguin. Don't forget to follow us on our social media, which is available in the description box down below, as well as our link tree. That's what it's called, link tree. And also audio podcasts. We've got audio podcasts available to you on Apple and Spotify. Give us a follow and give us a 5-star rating.
Thank you, Brittany. I appreciate it. So for Brittany, I'm Justin saying thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We will see you next time. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Do 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 da da da. It's all I want to say to you.